What's up, everyone? So, I just wanted to let you know it's about 90 degrees here in my apartment. So, hence, that's why I look so sweaty and I'm wearing a cutoff. But, there's no excuse to not be coding. So, with that being said, today I'm going to be showing you how to set up an SQL server. And this will tie into a future video or future videos on, connecting to the SQL server using ASP.NET, both with C Sharp and with Visual Basic. So with that being said, I will show you how to install and, set up SQL Server. So the first thing you're going to need to do is fire up a browser of your choice and then go to or type in search download SQL Server 2019 and click on the Microsoft.com link. And then I'm on Windows, so I did choose your installation setup for the Windows option, and then you click install on Windows. So SQL Server it's a paid product. You can get it for free though as a trial. You can get it for 180 days as an evaluation. And that's what I did here. It gives you plenty of time to experiment with the product and get your feet wet and decide if you wanted to go further with using it. So I picked the .exe option, and then Microsoft is going to collect some information from you. Most importantly, for the job title, I put researcher, academic student. This pretty much just means I'm messing around with it and I'm learning. So once you have all that done, you'd click continue, and then a download should start. In particular, this download should start. The SQL, let me see if I can zoom in here. SQL 2019 SS eval download. So once this is done, you'll double click here and allow it to run as administrator. And then I chose the basic option just because it's the easiest. It gets you going the fastest. But once you pick your option and go through all, a couple of steps or whatever, sit back and relax, man. That download and install took probably about 2 hours. I wasn't really expecting it to take that long. I was thinking it'd be a couple of minutes, but no, it took about 2 hours. So once you start the install, sit back, relax, get some coffee, go out to eat. It'll be a minute, but needs to be done. So after you've installed SQL Server 2019, you now need to install SSMS, also known as SQL Server Management Studio. So SSMS download, search that in our browser, and click on the link from Microsoft.com. And then right here, you'll see download SSMS. I downloaded version 18.9.1. That was just the most recent at the time that I created this video. So once you click that link or that download, it will start this SSMS setup. And basically you just double click that one once it's downloaded and maybe just press next or something, and then it will install SSMS for you. So once you have SSMS and SQL 2019 installed on your machine, you are then ready to start creating databases. All right, at this point, we are ready to create our first database, our SQL database. So what you'll do is open up SSMS. So I just type SSMS into the search bar there. And once this program starts, you'll be presented with this connect to server dialog box here. So at first, I actually got this wrong. I didn't have SQL 2019 installed when I downloaded SSMS. So this dot just means that you want to set up a database on your local host. Since I didn't have SQL Server 2019 on my machine, it wouldn't connect to anything. So since you already have SQL Server 2019 set up, you can just leave the default here, database engine, as the server type. Just put a period or a dot in for the server name that indicates local host. And then for authentication, you can just leave Windows Authentication, and then you press connect, and it will handle the rest for us. So now we want to create a database. So the way that we do this is by going to database, highlighting that, and then right-clicking, and then pressing new database. I'm going to be naming my database pets, or pets DB, because it will be a sample, database for storing your pets into. So press OK there, and now we have the database set up. So the way that we kind of work with the database is with queries. SQL stands for Structured Query Language, so you're going to be using queries to interface with it. So the way that you make a query is by highlighting that database and then right-click, and then you press New Query. This brings up basically just a blank page, and now you start writing your query. So I'm going to create the table, create table pets, and now do a opening parenthesis, and then within the parentheses is where you specify your data, essentially. So I'm doing ID int as a primary key. So the primary key, kind of most important key in a sense, is the one that is uniquely identifies each, column, row. So then I'm going to do a name, which is an n varchar 50, and then I'll do species, which is an n varchar. I'll also make it 50, and then age as an integer, and then the closing parenthesis, and go. So at this point in time, this would create our table pets, but I want to insert some data into this table. So you say insert into table pets values. I'm going to say Wrinkly. He is a dog who is 7 years old. And then insert into table pets values Michael, who is a cat who is 5 years old. And finally, insert into table pets values Rocky, who is a tortoise, and he's 25 years old. And then go. So at this point, when I execute this query, I should see a table returned as a result. Oh, okay. So this did create the table, but I forgot to select anything from the table. So now at this point, I can get rid of these lines of query code because I don't want to create another table. I just want to select everything from that table. So you use the star is like the key for everything. So I want to select everything from the table pets and run that. And then I can see within my results down here, the 3 entries that I had inserted into the table. So now what I want to do is be able to select specific pets from the table. So the way that you do this is through what's called stored procedures. You'll notice them within under programmability, there's a stored procedures, and there's a whole bunch of stored procedures from the system, Microsoft systems, stored procedures. But you can actually write your own, which is really cool. It gives you the ability to do a lot of neat things. So the way that you create a stored procedure is by typing create procedure, and then you name that procedure. So I'm going to name it SP, standing for stored procedure, get pets by ID. And then you do this at ID. So that's kind of like a variable in a sense. You'll see why here in a second. So as select, and then ID, name, species, and age. So that's just all the entries, or all the categories, the columns that specify our rows. So we just want to return essentially just one row of data based upon an ID. So now we do, so from table pets, from our table of pets, and then where the ID equals our variable at ID. And then we say return, so it doesn't recursively call itself. And then we could do something like execute sp get pets by ID, and I'm going to put in 2. So when I put in 2, I'm expecting to see the result of, the ID 2, name, Michael, species, cat, age 5. So when I execute this query, oh, I do get that, but I forgot to add in. You want to create the procedure first and then execute. There we go. Yeah, so create the procedure first, let it do that, and then run these execute commands. So that time I got the Michael, cat. So if I put in 1, I should get Wrinkly. And that's exactly what I get. Wrinkly is a dog, age 7. So that's how you write stored procedures, which is extremely important when we go to implement this SQL server in our C# or Visual Basic ASP.NET applications. That wraps it up for this video. Be sure to check out the ASP.NET implementations of the SQL server database that we created in this video. If you have any questions or want to get in contact with me, please feel free to join my Discord server. The link will be in the description down below. And if you liked this video and you enjoy the content that I create, please consider liking and subscribing. As always, thank you for watching, and stay safe, everybody.